So if you don't know what My Little Pony is, well, chances are you don't have a jar filled with human discharge and a plastic eroding figurine in the form of a mammal in the epicenter of said stomach churning foul viscous sewage. So if you haven't clicked off the video already just from the intro alone, I'm going to take a guess you have an iron stomach, and when it comes to the internet you have seen and expect the worst. Because today we are going to be talking about the My Little Pony community, or better yet the bronies. And boy oh boy, is it going to make you lose hope in humanity if you haven't already. My hope in humanity went when they started making more Star Wars movies. But anyway, what is My Little Pony or a brony? My Little Pony is a lot of things from a franchise toy line to an animated form of media, with many indulging and knowing the topic for the latter reason. The animated TV series started all the way back in 1984 to help advertise the popular toys. Little did they know that when they started creating said animated episodes that were predominantly for kids, that their intended audience would also incorporate fully grown adults, who to say the least were infatuated with this show. Especially the more modern and peak of the show, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, which started all the way back in 2010. Just a little side note, I have met multiple people, all going past adolescence, that are worryingly interested in this animated TV series, to the point where they buy the merch, watch at least an episode a day, and rewatch all the seasons on repeat, and will actively try to indoctrinate you into said community. And they will try and make you watch multiple episodes of the TV show. And to be honest, it is a lot like waterboarding. At least that was my experience watching the first episode with one of said fans. But these fans incorporate their activities under the title of a brony. A brony is a male fan of the My Little Pony television program and range of toys. But a lot of female fans identify themselves as bronies as well. And you'd think a community centered around a wholesome animated kids TV show would be somewhat safe or wholesome itself. It's not. It is for the most part, but some instances I'm going to describe may make you preemptively want to load 7.62 Hollow Point. But first, what is so attractive about My Little Pony to these people? Said people that are well past the target age demographic for this show. Well, doing some research and a few Google searches later with some information, I don't even think the tears of Jesus Christ himself could purify my irises from the information I saw. The reason bronies really like this show comes down to the fact that a lot of bronies find that the My Little Pony animated TV show appeals a lot to adults as well as kids, and the show can be enjoyed by adults as well. Now, you can't entirely discredit this statement, because admittedly there are a lot of cartoons, yes, cartoons, not anime. If any of you had the image of anime in your head when I said cartoons, I'm going to zap your balls in a paddle pool full of piranhas. Because just so you know, anime and cartoons are very different. Anyway, think of cartoons like Regular Show, Star vs. Force of Evil, and Adventure Time. Like My Little Pony, adults tend to watch these shows despite them being cartoons targeted towards children. Hey, I rewatched Adventure Time and watched the latest spin-off Fiona and Cake recently. These shows do hint to adult themes, especially in Regular Show and Adventure Time, and some have a mature subset to it.
You'll make it to Tier 8, where you touch her horn for the very first time. Very special.
What about Tier 15?
You stay away from that! Do not do Tier 15!
Unlike cartoons like Uncle Grandpa or Fanboy and Chum Chum, although I do love both of them from the bottom of my heart from my childhood. And that's another point why these people love My Little Pony. Nostalgia. Some people will rewatch entire seasons of shows even though they know exactly how it ends, how each twist in the story is formulated, and the fact that when the show ends they will be left with an empty void in their heart, and they will see a dishevelled, hollow reflection of themselves from the darkness of the rolling credits scene, fully well knowing there will never be a continuation to the series, and life at that very moment becomes hollow and obsolete, just like every good anime that refuses to release a second season. I'm still waiting High School of the Dead. Still waiting. So in conclusion, I can see why some adults watch cartoons, either out of nostalgia or because of the adult themes. But I can't say the same for My Little Pony. I mean, I know from personal experience that some of my childhood shows are like this, but I haven't watched My Little Pony. So in order to get my credentials to shit on My Little Pony, I'm going to watch 3 episodes. Wish me luck.
A few inches later.
Now after watching 3 full episodes of My Little Pony, I can safely say it is not that bad of a show I thought it was gonna be. I thought after watching I would need an exorcism, or at least some thick bleach to get the thought of whatever I just watched out my head, but it wasn't that bad. There's a clear storyline to it, which I enjoy in shows. I don't like shows that just do random episodes with no story tied to them. Every episode just seems like a one-off goofy event, like Johnny Test, which I absolutely loved as a kid. And some of the characters aren't as annoying as I thought they would be. And I hate to say it, they all have different personalities and room for character development later on in the series. But unfortunately, unless My Little Pony is like where you have to watch at least one season to get into it, I did not want to continue watching this. It was interesting, but I don't see myself watching 6 seasons of this. I unironically watched My Little Pony today, and unfortunately do not see why adults like it. But maybe that's just me. I think you guys should watch it as well. I think you should go on YouTube right now, because the episodes are on YouTube surprisingly. Type in My Little Pony Season 1 Episode 1 and tell me what you think. Because in my opinion, it wasn't that bad. I just don't see myself watching more. But why are My Little Pony fans or bronies loved so much? Especially on any online space, where if you admit you are a brony, you're gonna get crucified. Well, this stigma or stereotype comes from the fact that some My Little Pony fans really love My Little Pony. But the term brony was coined, of all places, the internet's public urinal, 4chan, and was done so as soon as My Little Pony Friendship is Magic was released. And people were spamming 4chan with posts about it, to the point where they created a section on 4chan just for posts like that. But knowing the people that roam the dystopian webpage that is 4chan, these posts wouldn't be entirely just about how good the show is, because this is where terms such as clopping would be invented. Not the clopping of horseshoes, but the clopping of someone's penis getting manhandled to death by their right hand over animated images of fictional horses. Clopping is the term for people that are currently or actively tenderizing their meat to My Little Pony characters. Yes, we have strayed from Lord's intended path. Yes, we do need a worldwide reset of the human race. But bronies are often confused with furries, which they do share some similar ties with, some being a part of both communities, but some are adamant they are 2 different communities altogether.
Wait, he's a brony and a fur. You can't be both. You can't be both. You can't be fucking both. You can only be one!
Which may add to the reason why people hate bronies so much. They may just hate fairies. I mean, like fairies creating their own persona, some bronies like to create their own pony to represent themselves like a fairy would with their persona. Which inadvertently led to a situation where some people might actually hate bronies for this reason. And said situation was in 2014 where a Make-A-Wish kid that was a fan of My Little Pony had their wish of wanting their OC pony to be in the show. And it was granted. Their OC Stellar Eclipse was added to the show, which was a brown pony with a wheelchair. And if we left things like that, everything would be fine. All 4 nations would live in harmony. World peace would be achieved and world hunger would be a thing of the past. But no, we couldn't have that, because a few bad apples in the brony and My Little Pony community, despite the family saying they didn't want them to do this, and despite the fact, it was a child's dream and potentially last wish, some have said people would start drawing NSFW art of this character. And I'm talking really graphic imagery. Now, I can't see why they would do this, or their true intentions. But the next part would make it very clear, because the family wanted them to stop doing this, they vocalized it, and they didn't stop, they actually increased the amount of posts they were making about this character. Now, obviously, none of them really got anything done to them. It came down to just waiting for people to forget about this. And eventually people did, and people stopped making NSFW art of their OC. But about 10 years later, the kid is still alive. Not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just, stereotypically Make-A-Wish is for kids that are, terminal illnesses. But they are still alive, and they stream on Twitch sometimes. And their comment on the scenario is, they don't really care. They were a part of the fandom and knew what was coming. Which tells you a lot about the My Little Pony fandom, I guess. But anyway, back to clopping. Some of the bronies like to clop to some of the cast of My Little Pony, with members like Twilight Sparkle, Pinkie Pie, and Rainbow Dash being their favourite to clop to, with endless resources available of them on Rule 34. As usual, I guarantee you the cockroach under your refrigerator right now probably has a post on Rule 34. Some fans even vote for who is the most beautiful pony. I don't know about you guys, but Pinkie Pie is definitely getting it up the rear. But more relevant reason why people hate bronies, and the problems with the community, but where once again it is not the whole community, it's always one or two that do something disturbing like this, and as a result set a poor reputation of the community. Especially those that are not bronies or don't even know what My Little Pony is about. Because believe me or not all of them clop, and not all of them have a jar with Twilight sparkles drowning in someone's future generations, which is one of the events that has painted the community as degenerates ever since its occurrence, which in and itself created its own popular meme of the cum jar, where the meme often describes a figurine from a community being placed within a jar and then being seasoned with bodily fluids to ferment and possibly pickle the plastic depending on their diet. But the first person to create this atrocity was of course from the My Little Pony community, and of course on 4chan of all places, where an anonymous user posted a picture of Rainbow Dash with some glazing, and all I have to say is like, come on buddy, you could have at least filled the jar up. He was obviously not gooning hard enough. But to describe the scene, the jar was stained brown with what I could assume being their offspring slowly choking to death with the lethal concoction of the fluid and rotting plastic combining together. But yes, this is where the cum jar meme started, and in no way was it done ironically. They had full intent and full brain functionality when they were doing this, and this is where some of the distaste for bronies comes from. Now, just like fairies, don't worry, I am only using the correlation to help your small brain understand the concept I'm describing. Anyway, like fairies, bronies have their own conventions. I'm talking BronyCon, Big Apple BronyCon, TrotCon, DreamyCon, and I just can't believe my people have come to this, fucking UK PonyCon. Like, come on, we only tax the shit out of you once, America. And not only did our empire go from being the first worldwide superpower and the largest of all humanity to this. Why did you do this to us? It's fine. You lost to rice farmers anyway. I'll let bygones be bygones this one time. But yeah, being a brony is somehow really popular to the point where they have multiple cons all around the world. Where like most cons you'll get people cosplaying, artists and stalls, a significant lack of deodorant, to the point if you're walking around in a crowded area, you could probably get a whiff of somebody's sweaty testicles like they're dangling in front of you, and convention toilets that have at least one weird guy looking at your cock from the urinal. But this is BronyCon, so all the problems are multiplied by 10. But the one I wanted to talk about was an absolute disaster, and in all the worst ways. And that was the Las Pegasus convention, the convention based in Las Vegas.
Yippee-yay, there'll be no wedding bells for today. I got spurs that jingle.
Now this event was doomed from the start. Not only were the people organising it not well educated in event planning, the hotel they had chosen on the New Vegas Strip had been going bankrupt multiple times and the rooms were absolutely dreadful for their prices. I'm talking $1,000 just for a week, where you probably share the room with a family of cockroaches. But not only that, the event planners had no money, but had promised that celebrities in the community were going to attend the event. Obviously they had to pay these said celebrities and hire adequate security, and the hotel wanted the money up front. So the event organisers with no money would cut a deal with the hotel, basically saying you will get a cut of all purchases and money generated from the event. But obviously they needed a lot of money up front, and they needed the first day of the event to make a lot of money. So to get that influx of cash, the only money allowed to buy stuff at the event was brony dollars. Basically Monopoly money with an animated horse on the front. When entering the event, you had to exchange your dollars for this brony money, which provided the team with the money to pay the hotel. And they had an added benefit of working with this hotel where they were offering discounts to some of the con-goers that wanted to stay at the hotel. Now the first signs of things going very wrong was the fact that said celebrities of the brony community weren't even picked up from the airport. They were left to fend for themselves, even though it was promised they would get picked up. So not only have these people paid for their own flight, which they thought was going to get reimbursed, they now have to buy their own taxi. The second problem was that there was a shortage of staff members. With over 2,000 people attending the event, which was under their estimate of 5,000 people attending, they still didn't have enough staff members to go around, which also led to certain staff members having panic attacks and losing their shit. And not only that, the artist valley which you see at many cons, half of it was hidden away in an obscure area, separated by a Chinese wall, which for some reason they had up but took down during the second day. But artists were already at a loss, and the brony celebrities were at even more of a loss. And they were unprotected and unorganized. They did not have security guards escorting them 24/7, and they did not have staff members telling them where they were meant to go. So basically, the first 2 days was an absolute clusterfuck, and it was about to get much worse, because the hotel was not getting their money. So they would say goodbye discount and would start throwing people out of their own rooms if they could not pay the extortionate amount of the original price. Artists were not seeing any of their money and would start to have their art pieces confiscated by the hotel for money. Now, this obviously incited a panic. Nobody really had real money except for these brony dollars. So everyone scrambled to exchange these brony dollars, most of them taking significant losses, but they just wanted to take their money and leave. No staff members could be seen, and even the event organisers were gone. The organisers had taken the money and ran, abandoning the artists, the celebrities, and the attendees with no physical cash, just brony money. Now, panic ensued, but the celebrities tried to get it under control, not for the people that lost their rooms, not for the artists, but for themselves. They were out thousands, and some did not have money for the flight back, so they would ask people to donate what they could. But the event ended earlier than expected, and people lost a lot of money, and no staff or the organisers to be seen. They took the money and dipped, and the extremely average hotel on the New Vegas Strip unfortunately did not make as much money as they wanted, and probably have a strong distaste for bronies now. But in conclusion, that was the brony community, some of the problem with the bronies, and some terrible events that have occurred in said community. Now, I have not tried this for a while. If the like and subscribe button don't appear when I say like and subscribe, you're the next brony in line. Like, quite literally, you are about to start watching My Little Pony, and the next time you are at Walmart or your local Tesco, you are going to buy an oversized pickle jar to place and disgrace Rainbow Dash. But the My Little Pony community isn't that bad, it's just always some bad apples that make it significantly worse. But yeah, bye bye.